A taut steel cable suddenly snapped, and in an instant, the crowd who had been joyfully singing and dancing was hurled into the water. Within seconds, those still trying to escape were sliced apart by the wire. The Grand Cruise liner transformed into a floating tomb, with only a small girl managing to survive. But as she rushed to shield her captain, she discovered to her horror that his head had been severed in half. For decades later, a salvage crew arrived in those waters and discovered the wreck of the once luxurious vessel. Though battered and decayed, the ship promised immense value if hauled to shore. According to maritime law, anything recovered belonged to its salvagers. Eagerly, the crew boarded to assess the ship's condition. Yet the moment they stepped onto the vessel, their fates began ticking away. A bone-chilling coldness swept through them, but none noticed as the wooden toys on a nearby table started twisting unnaturally. The derelict ship reeked of decay, and when a long-haired crew member nearly stumbled into a deadly pit, he was pulled back just in time. But their relief was short-lived. Julie froze in terror as a little girl in a white dress appeared silently on the staircase, staring directly at them. By the time he blinked, she had vanished. Shaken, the team abandoned further inspection and retreated to their small vessel, discussing how to tow the massive liner. Yet Julie remained distracted, haunted by the girl's strange gaze. When Jack asked if something was troubling him, Julie admitted what he saw. Jack dismissed it as exhaustion-induced hallucination, and though uneasy, Julie forced himself to believe it. The next day, they surveyed the ship again and found a gaping rupture in its hull. To tow it safely, the breach would need patching and the sludge inside removed. Splitting up, Julie wandered into the empty swimming pool, only to find it filled with thousands of bullets and shell casings, signs of a massacre. Panicked, he tried to leave, but the little girl reappeared. In a flash, his head was nearly severed. Blood trickled into the pool, and soon the water turned crimson, filled with writhing corpses. Later, Julie and Jack stumbled upon the laundry room. Opening a sealed steel door, they were horrified as corpses tumbled out with the floodwater. Before they could flee, the door slammed shut, trapping them with the stench of death. A smaller passage creaked open, and they dashed through it, finding themselves in a warehouse. From the shadows came scurrying noises. Lifting a pile of crates, Julie uncovered a swarm of rats, and beneath them, a chest overflowing with gold bars. Word spread quickly, and soon the whole crew was celebrating their discovery. Box after box gleamed with treasure. They were blind to the truth. The gold was cursed. Instead of securing the ship, greed overtook them. They rushed to transfer the gold to their vessel. But the girl appeared, screaming for them to stop. Before she could finish, a dark force dragged her away. Moments later, their small ship exploded, obliterating the crew aboard. The survivors on the liner were stranded, waiting in vain for rescue as the ship grew ever more sinister. Strange events unfolded. Spoiled rations transformed into wriggling insects, illusions lured men to their deaths, and Julie was repeatedly guided by the ghostly child. Eventually, he uncovered the truth. 40 years ago, pirates disguised as chefs poisoned passengers, slaughtered survivors with cables, and gunned down the rest by the pool. The little girl escaped briefly, but was murdered and hidden in a closet. After claiming the gold, the pirates betrayed one another until only one remained. Then even he was slain by a mysterious woman under the influence of a darker force. This same force endured for decades, binding souls to the ship and feeding on greed. Julie realized that Jack, their crewmate, was no man but the demon responsible. His true nature emerged. For centuries, he had manipulated humans with the promise of treasure, harvesting their souls for his master. Determined, Julie planted explosives to destroy the cursed vessel. Jack tried to drown her, but she managed to wound him long enough to detonate the bombs. The ship erupted, sinking into the sea. Julie was pulled to safety by another ship, but as she watched the gold being hauled from the wreckage, she heard a familiar, haunting voice behind her, reminding her that the nightmare was far from over.